This is Surviving as a Civilian. I am your host, Scott. With the help of my friend Andrew, we created this podcast to share success stories of combat veterans and how they overcame the challenges of returning back to civilian life. These are actual stories told by actual veterans. Content warning, this podcast talks about war, and some of the stories in this podcast contain graphic events of violence and may contain explicit language. Listener discretion is advised. Additionally, these veterans are telling their story of how they recall the events. Some of the details may have changed over time. Welcome to Surviving as a Civilian. This week's special guest is Andrew Collis. Thank you for joining us, Andrew Collis.
Hey, Scott. How are you?
I'm really good. Really good. How's your week been?
It's been all right.
What was the worst thing you did all week?
I had to kill my chicken flock.
What? I don't even know what that means.
I had to replace my egg layers, so I killed my old egg layers, and then I made a bunch of stock and a bunch of dog food, and that's about it.
Cool. Are you going to ask me about my week or not? Never mind.
How was your
No,
week?
it's not important. We'll just get into it. All right, let's start out with the basics for people that don't know you. What branch of the military did you serve in?
I served in the Army.
All right. What made you decide to pick the Army over the other 4 or 5 services?
I was not allowed to join the Marines.
What do you mean?
I had tattoos below my elbows, and it was part of the standards then that I couldn't join the Marines.
How come you didn't try like the Air Force or the Navy?
I wanted to see combat.
Oh. All right. What'd you do before you got...
At least I thought I wanted to see combat at the time.
Yeah.
So,
what made you think you wanted to see combat, though?
I don't know. It was, I don't know. Like, I always, liked the military and stuff, and I never thought I would ever join it. But for some reason, one day I woke up and fucking joined the Army.
You know, I mean, I know this is your interview, but you know what it was for me is like my grandfather served in World War II. I had an uncle that served in Vietnam. So for me, like, it was kind of like, I don't know if it was calling bullshit or just seeing what they went through. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my mom served in the Army, and my grandpa was in the Navy, but it never was like a big point of our life. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a military family at all.
Yeah, well, me either. But you know, I think those guys had it way worse than we did. But
yeah, one thing I saw is that every generation thinks other generations had it worse. You know? So it's just warfare evolves over time, and it's different all the time.
So what did you do before you got in the Army?
I was a union hot tar roofer.
What?
A union hot tar roofer.
I heard you, buddy. So what, can you explain to me what that is? So I've done roofs before, but I've not done the hot tar thing. I put the tar paper down.
Oh yeah, well the hard tar is like the flat roofs, like on top of schools. Do you remember the schools? There would all be rocks on top of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all hot tar.
Huh.
So it's you would mop down the melted tar, and then you would roll felt rolls in between it, and then you would layer it with a layer of hot tar with stone on top of it.
How old were you when you did this job?
I think I started that when I was 19.
Okay. So, what was the final thing? What was the thing that made you decide to join the Army?
I had my son, and I knew that the Army would help me with a better future than roofing would or construction trades.
Yeah. Yep. I feel bad for when I see like 60-year-old guy still tacking shingles onto a roof. I'm like, Jesus, man. I mean, God bless them for the hard work they do, but I didn't want to be 60 years old and lumping up 2 bundles of shingles up a ladder.
Well, that's the thing. Roofing in general is dangerous to start with.
Yeah.
But the old timers, they were all destroyed, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the Army's no better. Like the Army, if you get destroyed in the military, you just leave the military.
Right. Right. Well,
so you never see the old timers limping around until you get to the VFW and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of it too. I think a lot of it too is that guys go back to. So you don't really see the old timers because guys go back to where they came from to retire. And then there's just that guy that's sitting in the VFW. You know what I mean? Which sucks, but
yeah.
So let's back up a little bit. You said you had a family that served in the military. You said you had your mom?
Yeah, my mom was in the Army and my grandpa was in the Navy.
Okay. And when was your mom in the Army?
It was around Vietnam. I don't know the exact dates.
Oh, I know. I'm not asking. Can you call her? Just
yeah.
kidding. All right. So let's back up a little bit. Or go forward a little bit. What was your MOS?
21 Bravo and a 12 Bravo. Nice. It changed while I was it. Well, when I went to basic, it was 21 Bravo, and then when I got out, they went back to 12 Bravo.
You imagine all those guys that got the tattoo of 21 Bravo thought they were badasses.
I never thought of that.
Jokers got out of basic training or AIT was like, hey, I'm getting a 21 Bravo tattoo, and then 2 years later they're like, nah, bro, we're going back to.
Oh man, I never thought of that. Yeah. Because it was 12 Bravo before. Well, you were through all that too, yeah.
Yeah, I've been back and forth. What made you decide to become a 12 Bravo or 21 Bravo?
I wasn't too smart when I took the ASVAB, and they offered me infantry, combat engineer, and tanker.
Ugh.
And my cousin was infantry, and he said, "Don't be an infantryman." And my friend that I roofed with was a tanker in Fallujah, a Marine. And he was like, "Don't be a tanker." So I was like, I guess I'll go combat engineer.
What year did you join?
I joined in 2008.
Oh, man. So we were knee deep into both wars by the time that happened, huh?
Yeah.
That's pretty bold of you, though. So when I joined, it was a long time ago, and there was no wars going on. There was like Kosovo and shit. I have a lot of respect for people that voluntarily take combat jobs during a time of war, because that, how stuff was going. I mean, they were forcing people to come back in off their IRR and stuff. So I got a lot of respect for you guys that came in during that time.
Yeah, when I first started talking to the recruiter, I had a ranger slot for a ranger battalion to be a parachute rigger. And then when I went to MEPS, I had high blood pressure. And
at 19?
I lost my... What?
At how old?
The same time. That was before.
How old were you?
I was 23.
You had high blood pressure at 23? What is it now? Do you even go get checked?
Yeah, no, I still have high blood pressure. I've had high blood pressure like forever.
Sorry, so keep going with the rigger job.
Oh yeah, they I first that's how they got me hooked on, because I wanted to see combat. I wanted to be a ranger.
Right.
So they were like, my recruiter, he was a ranger, or he was a sniper. And he was like, "Oh, I'll get you in the ranger school and all that stuff." And I was like, "All right." And they were like, "How many push-ups could you do?" And I could do a ton of push-ups. And so they said I could be a ranger, airborne ranger parachute rigger for a ranger bat. And then I had high blood pressure. and I lost that slot. And then they were like infantry, combat engineer, tanker. So like they promised everything, and then everything went out the window.
So let me ask you, do you think that your recruiter is an actual sniper, or you think he was just saying that shit to impress younger guys?
I actually saw him a few years later when I was a sergeant at Fort Drum.
What rank was he?
An E6.
Were you like, bitch?
Yeah, I was like, look, I'm a sergeant too now, sorry. No, he was an actual sniper. He actually showed me. He deployed to Iraq, and he had a bunch of pictures of him. I don't know how well he did as a sniper, you know what I mean? But right. he was actually trained as a sniper. So
hey, so
pretty cool.
So for those people that don't know, can you just briefly explain what a combat engineer does? More so what you did as a combat engineer, because I know what combat engineers are supposed to do, but just explain it for the audience.
What I actually did was mostly just route clearance, was mobility, letting, we would find, disable, and destroy obstacles that would slow down troop movement.
Okay. Right. Okay. Let's go a little bit further. So obviously you've been deployed. That's why you got invited to be on this podcast. How many deployments did you go on?
I did 2 deployments, both 1 year long.
Okay. So 24 months?
Yeah.
All right. And so what did you do while you were deployed? What was your actual job while you were deployed?
The first deployment I did route clearance in vehicles.
Mounted, right?
Yeah, mounted, mechanized. It was pretty much, 10th Mountain's light infantry, but we were pretty much in vehicles, so it was like mechanized route clearance. So we'd clear like main supply routes. And then my second deployment, we were attached to infantry units, and we cleared the path for them to walk wherever they wanted to go.
So you did both your deployments in Afghanistan, correct?
Yes.
What was you remember the areas you were in? The districts?
Yeah, my first deployment, I was in the Wardak province. Ooh. And then my second one, I was in Kandahar province.
Yeah. Zari district, right?
Excuse me?
Zari district? Just trust me, that's what it was.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so when you left the Army, what was your rank?
I was a sergeant.
Okay, so that means team leader essentially, right? Were you squad leader or team leader?
I was a team leader.
For both deployments?
No, I was a private E1 for my E1 and E2 for my first deployment, and then I was a sergeant for my entire second deployment.
What did you do for your first deployment as an E1, E2?
Whatever Merlin Quiles told me to do.
What was your actual job, though? Like gunner, driver?
We rotated. Each squad would maintain one truck in the convoy, and we would rotate every day. So I had to do everything from driving to radios to gunning to dismount, and we would just rotate.
Do you have a cab?
Yeah, I got my cab the first mission I ever went on.
First deployment? How'd you get your cab?
I got my cab in the Tangy Valley, I believe.
That was a rough one.
You know what's funny is the one side of the road was a cliff, and then the other side looked into the valley.
Right.
And when I got my cab, I had a 50 cal, and I was looking at the cliff. and they were like, maintain your sector, and I was like, I don't have a fucking sector. So I looking
at a cliff.
I literally just stared at the cliff while we were getting RPGs and bullets shot from the other side. So, but I did have an M4, and I was supposed to be looking up the cliff so they didn't drop stuff into us.
So they didn't rappel down and get you guys?
No,
what were you going to shoot if they drop stuff, Andrew Collis? What were you going to do? Shoot at it? If they dropped their grenade off that cliff, what were you going to do? Just tell everybody?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. How fast, like, what hand comes over? I'm not going to shoot their hand off.
Right.
I don't know. You're
not going to shoot the grenade out of the. You're not going to shoot the grenade out of the sky.
Yeah, that was the idea, though. Maybe I could like tell them that a pipe bomb was.
Everybody get down. They're going to be like, what?
Here, let me close the door real quick. But yeah, that was the idea. I did not actually look at the actual first combat I was ever in. They were shooting at the back of me because I was looking at the cliff.
That's nuts, man. So you got you obviously got a Purple Heart too, right?
Yeah, I do.
That's
have
why
a
you're
Purple
here.
Heart.
So was your Purple Heart in your first deployment or second deployment?
It was my first deployment.
Is there you feel comfortable talking about it?
Yeah, no problem.
Let's hear it. I want to hear what happened.
It's not that interesting, but I'll tell you what happened. So the mission was for us as route clearance to escort welders we were just going down the highway and welding the convoy, or not the convoys, the
rebar,
the culverts. Yeah, the culverts, the tunnels under the road for the water.
Yeah.
We were welding them with grates on them.
Right. And why were you guys doing that?
Because the Taliban was stuffing them full of explosives, like,
and fucking
anywhere.
Up convoys.
What's that?
They were fucking up people real bad.
Oh, dude, they were stuffing anywhere from like 100 to 1,000 to 1,200 pounds of explosive, like throwing trucks off the road. Yeah, you're talking like what, like 10-ton trucks throwing them 50 yards, you know?
Yep. I seen a video of one of those in Afghanistan. I don't know where it was, but they did one of those big culvert ones, and it blew the turret and knocked the turret like 50 meters from the chassis of a tank.
Yeah, you know the ASBs?
Yeah.
Remember those?
Yeah.
That's why that's what happened to them, that they weren't connected. So anytime they blew up, the fucking gunner would go flying.
Yeah.
So we didn't take any of them out. I saw my first deployment, I saw everyone die, and one of them, all 5 soldiers, and then I saw MRAP, the Max Pro, the one with the air.
Yeah.
You know, the air doors?
Yep.
Yeah, them too, man. You take out that air system, the doors don't open.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah. So
you guys were escorting. So they're Afghan welders or were they American welders?
They were U.S. Army welders.
Jesus. Who thought those guys would be worth something in combat, huh? You put these jokers on a truck and...
Oh, yeah. No, they were like, I'm going to be fixing cars or trucks and like building stuff. But yeah, well, you know, too, that like you get bored sitting on the fob.
Yeah. No, I don't know that, Andrew Collis, because I don't stay on the fob.
Oh, yeah, you do. But, you know, people want to leave the wire every once in a while. You get bored, you know? So, like, there's always those, like, chow hall people or something. They're like, come on, can I come with you on a convoy?
So with these welders, were they National Guard guys or were they active duty guys?
I don't remember. I don't think I personally talked to them too much.
Yeah.
All I really got, I was a private at the time. You know, I got the bottom of the barrel.
Right.
And it was like 4 to 5 hours per culvert, you know.
God
for them
dang.
To weld them up.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were going to this village of Salar, Wardak, Afghanistan, and I think there was like 3 to 4 culverts in there, so it was like an all-day process. Like we herringboned out and just sat there and let the welders do their job, you know. And Philly Blunts actually sent us boxes of cigars, and we had bags of candy.
Okay.
So Merlin and I got out of the truck, and to the adults, we were giving them cigars because everyone smokes there.
Right.
Giving them cigars.
Shitty ass pines.
And then to the kids, we were giving them candy. Just walking around having a good time because we were there for like probably 10 hours, you know?
Right.
Or we were planning there to be there for 10 hours. The village was really bad, though. They didn't like Americans. And the children had plastic AK-47s. And when we drove by them, they would pretend to shoot at our trucks.
Yeah. You know, you guys could have mowed those kids
village.
down and got away with it. You know that, right?
Yeah, that's how bad this village was. And so I'm out handing out candy and cigars with Merlin. And the E02 truck, he had his door open, and the TC did, the passenger side. And he was just like sitting sideways in it with the door open, his legs out, smoking a cigarette, you know. So we went over and talked to him. I leaned up against the vehicle. Merlin leaned against the open door. And then the explosion happened. And it happened on the other side of that door. A door saved our lives, pretty much.
What was it? What was the explosion?
At the time, I thought it was incoming, like a mortar.
Uh-huh.
But it turned out to be a hand grenade.
Oh, no shit, huh?
Yeah, and at the time, I thought it was incoming. And I felt it. I felt the pain in my thigh instantly, and I felt it in my left hand instantly. And I knew I was hit as soon as that was the first thing out of my mouth. I looked at Merlin and I was like, I'm hit.
That's got to be scary, man.
Yeah, it's just everything has happened so fucking fast. You know?
I know, but
and
just to know you're hit and not be able to see how bad it is or how not bad it is, that's got to be scary, man.
Yeah, so I ran behind the truck because the EOD dude slammed the door shut and locked it.
Dick.
Combat locked it. You know, so me and Merlin just ran behind the truck, and my hand was just like squirting blood, and I thought it hit my wrist, like my artery, you know?
Yeah.
So I slammed my hand over it, and I'm just holding my hand over it, and Merlin sees all the blood, and he goes into his medic pack, which he's supposed to go into mine. You know that.
Right.
And he pulls it out, and his medic pack just flies all over the road.
Because they got it so tight packed and it's on a fucking bungee cord, and it doesn't make any sense, man.
That's what I said. The bungee cord. It's just like
they're trying to put like a J tube in this thing, and they're trying to put like gauze and tape and a pen and an EpiPen and all sorts of stupid shit in them things. I never understood that.
Yeah, the bungee cord he grabbed it, and the bungee cord just slung it right back to his hip, and it just flew all over the place.
So he's got first aid shit all over the fucking dirt ass road, huh?
So he picks up the field dressing, and he wraps it on my hand, and then we're like, that's incoming. We have to get back to our truck, you know?
Yeah.
And we're only one truck away, and the truck's facing away from us. So we run up to the back door, and it's a Max Pro where the stairs are on the air system, and they come down.
Super fucking slow.
Yeah, so like we run up, and he's like trying to get on the radio, and he runs all the way to the driver's seat, gets in it, and then opens the door so I can get in the back. And then the medic and Sergeant First Class Fowler, get in our platoon leader at the time. And I never felt like I was going to pass. I felt like I was going to pass out from blood loss. I've never felt like that before.
Oh, no kidding, huh?
Yeah, you feel like real sick, like you're going to puke.
Yeah.
And then like everything just starts spinning, and like the medic was in the back, and he was just loading me up, or wrapping my fingers up, you know, in my hands, and then Merlin was wounded too. He actually got hit in his armpit because he had like his arm up with his hand leaning on the door. So he got sprayed in his armpit, and like the hand grenade does like really small. Like,
it's horrible, especially those where I think they probably had Russian ones or like Pakistani.
Yeah,
it's like,
well, later we found out it was a Russian stick grenade.
Oh,
because the E02 guy, the driver that was sitting in the truck, saw it before it exploded.
Right.
Yeah, and if anyone knows explosives, it's engineers and EOD, you know what I mean?
Right.
So if it was a mortar, you would never see anything. It would just be an explosion. You know, but he actually saw it like fling over the windows.
So somebody chucked it on you guys, obviously?
Yeah, so on the other side of the truck, there was this wall, and it was probably like 6-8 feet tall.
Yeah.
Keelas got hurt too.
Yep.
And he, since I was the driver and I got hurt, he hopped in the driver's seat. We didn't know he was hurt yet.
Yeah.
And I was in the back. The medic was dealing with me. And then Sergeant Fowler, or platoon sergeant at the time, got in the driver's seat and was talking to Merlin. And I was like on the verge of passing out. My eyes were rolling back in the head. In the back, and
how much blood were you losing at this time?
Well, when I ran into the back and when his med pack opened up all over the floor,
yeah,
like yeah, there was a puddle of blood there, man. I still have my glasses I was wearing, and dude, I had some brand new Wiley X's on.
Dope.
And I remember looking down, and I fell off my head and landed in this puddle of blood.
Your blood.
I picked them back up. My blood. I picked them back up, put them on my face, and I like covered my because I didn't want to get Article 15 for not wearing my eyebrow. so then I covered my bleeding hand. You know what I mean? And then it was a decent amount of blood. The blood stain was there for probably like 3 weeks to 4 weeks after that. I remember driving down the road, and I would see my blood stain on the road forever.
So you obviously, they didn't medevac you?
No, well, that's why Sergeant Fowler got in the car. He went and got the medic.
You've been out of the Army so long, you call it a car.
Yeah, that's why he went and got the medic and came to our truck, so he could evaluate the situation and see if we needed to call in a medevac or not. And we decided to casevac.
It's funny you say we because you were almost passed out, and you were a private, you had a decision.
He asked me. I remember him asking me. He was like, "Do you want me to call a helicopter?" And I was like, "No, just drive." Because the base, I don't remember the name of it.
Were you guys out of Altamar?
We were at Solar at the time, but there was.
But what was the base you guys were out of? It was Altamar, right?
The base that we were mainly out of.
Yeah.
I was out of Airborne.
Oh, that's right. You guys are way over there. Never mind.
Yeah, I was out of Airborne at the time. So there was an infantry company base not too far away. So
right.
he was like, "Do you want a medevac?" And I was like, "Just drive."
Right.
So we decided to drive to that base. And as soon as I said that, Merlin just jumped on the gas and started driving. Because his adrenaline was up too, you know.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? We went over a covert that we didn't weld, and they tried to blow us up. and they missed our truck. Merwin stepped on the gas so fast that he drove over the convoy, and they missed him, and the IED blew up behind us. So then all the other trucks had to turn around because they were facing the wrong way and catch up to us and drive around the explosion hole.
That's nuts, man. How many months into that deployment were you when that happened?
I was probably Savage J was already gone.
Oh, so it was a little bit into it, huh?
Yeah, it was probably 4 months, 5 months usually. Yeah.
So you guys went back to airborne and then
No, we went back to the infantry base there. And the surgeon was actually there. So they
that female?
What's that?
Was it a girl?
No, it was a captain.
Oh, so we had a surgeon. Her name was Bell, Major Bell, but she was a neurosurgeon. Anyway.
Yeah, I think I met her on the Tangi mission.
Yeah, real short girl.
Yeah, I think I met her on the Tangi mission.
I had to yell at her once because she had her M16 because she was a part of the headquarters.
You telling me when she unloaded it into the? Is she the one that did it into the clearing barrel?
No. She's the one that had the magazine in, full rounds, nothing in the chamber, I believe, but had the barrel on her toe and was swinging the rifle around by the sling, just pivoting on her toe. I was like, "Ma'am, do you understand where the bullets come out on that thing?" It's like, what? Like, one wrong move, you can blow your foot off. But anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No worries. So we went back to that strong point, and then they sewed us up, and then I went back to airborne after that. The rest of our mission was canceled after that time.
That's crazy. Did you get stitches and you had metal inside you or not?
Yeah, I still have a piece of the hand grenade in my right hand. It went in through the top of my hand into the bone, and it never exited the bone, like just under the pinky of my right hand. And then all the other ones, they come out of the skin like pimples, and then you pop them.
Yeah.
And a little piece of metal comes out.
So that's the craziest thing. So people, the people, so I don't have a Purple Heart, but the people I've been with have gotten like shrapnel and stuff. If it's not like life threatening, they don't pull it out. They just let it work itself out to the surface.
Yeah, that's what happened with mine.
Isn't that nuts?
Like if it doesn't become infected, they just leave it there.
Yeah, they just let it kind of go.
Yeah, but some infections can get really bad too, you know. So, but yeah, on my thigh, it just came out like pimples, and like when you pop it, a little piece of metal comes out.
That's nuts. So, how long did it take you to recover?
They gave me quarters for 2 weeks, and I did not follow it. I was back on missions in 36 hours.
But you had like stitches and shit though, right?
Yeah, I actually was doing combat with stitches in my hand.
All right, so that was that deployment. Your last deployment. You got to tell me the story though. You got to tell me the story about the river guy. The guy's hopped in the river.
That was the first deployment too.
All right, you got to tell that story, man.
All right. All right, I will tell you that story.
Thank you.
So,
I feel like I deserve it.
We are doing all right. So this was an election year.
Yep.
Right.
In Afghanistan.
So there were voting places throughout Afghanistan, and they were like little compounds. You know what I mean? And we would do security for them. Us and the eight.
So I was there for that one too, and I'm gonna help you out a little bit on the description. So usually, the polling sites were either town centers or schools. They were like generally public places that you could go to vote.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But even there, those places are fortified.
And some of them in the middle of fucking nowhere. Swear to God, there'd be
but there's points for like the police and stuff to make sure they're a safe place to go in and vote.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. There was an A&A unit around the Times Square or whatever you want to call it, and they were stuck there. They brought them in there, and then they got stuck there, and they needed
their
to
truck
be
stuck
replaced.
physically.
No, they just couldn't physically fight their way out.
Oh, all right. They got pinned down. Yeah.
Yeah. They just so we were there. The infantry, like a week before, tried to go replace them. The infantry got up with an A&A unit, and they were gonna escort them in there, take the old ones out, and put the new ones in. And as soon as they turned down the road, they got met with recoilless rifle rounds.
Yeah, which is the worst.
And those are bad news.
Those will cut through a lot of shit.
Yeah, like any up armored vehicle, a couple of those hit you, you're done. So they turned around and retreated from that mission, and then they called us in and we did a huge mission with infantry and us to enter and get those guys in and out. So the plan was for us, infantry and the A&A, to go to that place and get the old A&A out and leave the new A&A there. And then we were going to stay there for 10 days. And I think it was until the elections were over. And then we would just all leave after that. So we turned in, and it was a fight. It was probably like 4 or 5 IEDs that day. And then after 2 IEDs, our plan was to, at that region, they did command wire IEDs.
Yeah. Yep.
And
they use the camera flashes with the HME in a culvert. That's what I experienced there anyway.
Yeah, the command wire means that there has to be a person there.
Yep.
With visual of the target, and they hold a battery to the wire when the truck drives over it, and they blow up that truck.
Right.
And
so
they run away.
So what we ran into is that they would use the camera flash, because a camera flash is a resistor that holds a bunch of electricity and then pulses it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, we were getting all batteries.
Oh, really? 9 volts, right?
Yeah. They were just putting it to the battery. So we knew that.
Oh my God, you okay?
We actually. Yeah, I'm good. We knew that we actually had if we could disrupt that person line of sight, they couldn't blow up our trucks. So what we did is we kicked out dismounts 150 yards in front of the convoy in a Y shape on both sides of the road. And there was a mountain on the one side of the valley where we put in infantry snipers to look over the valley the whole way there.
And those are the best kind of snipers. You don't want a mechanic kind of sniper. You want an infantry sniper.
No, yeah, these were the legit ones, and they got airdropped in the night before, and they froze on a hilltop all night. And then we came in, and we were walking in front of the trucks, and I think it was Sar and Peralta, I'm not sure, but they spotted a guy on his cell phone, and he was just talking, and then he looked up and saw the American soldiers, and he just threw his cell phone into the little river next to it. And they were like, that's weird. So they went and grabbed the guy, and he ended up having a radio and a hand grenade in the other pocket. So we took him in, we detained him, or they did. I was in the truck at this time.
Right.
And so we took his radio, we took his hand grenade, and we blindfolded him and handcuffed him and put earmuffs over his ears, you know. And we had the interpreter listen to the radio, and they were like, "Where are you? What are you doing? Where are the Americans?" You know what I mean?
Right.
And so we kept going after that. We put him in our truck. He was in my truck. He was sitting right next to me. And I was like the QRF, so I was like the dismount in the trucks.
Uh-huh.
That if the dismounts got in trouble, we would stop and dismount and go to them. So I was in the truck. He was sitting next to me, the one we just detained. And
Okay.
So they walk up. We start going, and we walk by like 200-300 meters. And the infantry in our first dismounts, they walk up on 3 Taliban. The one dude has an RPG with, you know, the backpack that holds like 3 RPGs.
Yep.
That's on his back. The other dude is standing there smoking a cigarette with a MPK sitting on the ground next to him.
PKM?
And then the other,
You mean?
yeah, PKM, yeah. And then the other guy has an AK on his back. And they're just sitting there bullshitting. Like, that guy
Stupid
never told
fucks.
them. Yeah, they weren't ready for us. Like,
Yeah.
that guy never told them we were there.
Right.
So the 2 of them run away, and the one guy runs off by himself. And the dismounts follow the 2 guys, obviously, you know?
Yep.
So they're running through the woods, and then they run into this river that's like 10 feet wide, and it's probably like 6 feet deep. And these 2 guys run into the river, and they decide to hold their breath under the water.
Shut up.
and
So back up. So the 2 of the 3 took off running. They found a river.
Yeah.
They jumped in the river, being chased by the infantry guys.
yeah.
Okay.
And our combat engineers, like Merlin was with them and stuff.
Yeah.
I was in the truck at this time. So, we had dismounts on the ground too. And, yeah, so they run into the river, they hold their breath, and our dismounts walk up to the river, and there's one, I don't know his name, he was an E6 infantry guy, and he was like, "You guys just hold fast, I got this." And he just waited for them to come up for their breath, and it was literally like 1, 2, fucking straight in the head. And at that point in time, I get the call from Merlin up to our truck, and he's like, "Bring down the second set of dismount, and bring down 2 litters." And we retrieved the bodies from the weapons and the bodies from the river.
It's nuts, man.
And yeah, dude, I had to carry. Merlin had the other side of the one litter, and I had the back side, and I had the guy's head, you know.
Yeah, that's the heaviest part, man. That's how he fucked you on that one. The legs are always the lightest part to carry. Don't get the torso.
The lightest parts of the body to carry?
No.
What?
So, how are you doing now? What are you doing now?
I run a homestead where I try to grow and raise as much food as I can and try to be self-sufficient.
So why did you decide to get out of the Army? You seem like you're doing pretty good.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I just felt like I'd get in trouble eventually.
Why?
Like I remember like the Army was downsizing, and they were kicking out people who were like E6s and E7s who were already did like 16, 7 or 15 or 12 to 15 years and were coming up on retirement before their retirement. And it didn't seem like a stable environment to me.
Yeah. Well, you'd have been all right. But so you got out of the Army. You're a Purple Heart recipient. You're a combat vet. How did the Army prepare you for getting out?
When I got out, I don't know if they still do this. They did, what is it called, ACAP?
Yeah, same thing. They got a SFL tap now, but same thing.
Yeah, and it was just like, here's how to make a resume, and here's how to, like, you got to dress in civilians too. That was weird for a little bit. And they're like, here's how you make a resume, and that's pretty much all they really told us. But
do you feel like like the Army properly prepared you to face the world after what you've been through? Because how long did you do in the Army?
I did 4 years and 16 weeks.
Oh, can you be more specific? I'm just kidding, Andrew.
But the thing was, I was rushed out.
Why?
Because I had so much terminal leave.
Yeah.
That I should have been brought home early from that deployment.
Oh,
to get out.
That's right. Yep.
So what they say you should have like 90 days.
Yeah. After
you come home to get out. I think I had like 38 days. I was out within 2 months. Easily.
Yeah, it was
from the time I came back.
What year did you get out?
2012.
Yeah, it was things were moving. So you don't feel like the Army prepared you to get out?
Well, I knew I wanted to get out, so I didn't really care what the Army had to say about it, you know.
So let's take it down a notch. Stop being the warrior you are. What do you think that the Army could do better to help prepare guys to becoming a civilian or girls?
Yeah, I think an ACAP thing is good. That you do need to have a resume together. But also, like, it's kind of like a party. I know it was for me when I got out for like a year. Like, I had like $50,000 in the bank, you know, and I was just like, I just am happy to be home and be alive.
Right.
It wasn't like real life until like.
It takes a minute to decompress from that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think like guys like you and I and like everybody else, like when you're in it and you're doing it, it's fine. You can push it off. And then when you get back, not immediately, but a while later, the shit starts to kind of decompress and you're like, oh shit. This is
well, the thing is, while you're still in the Army, you're surrounded by like-minded individuals.
Yes. And I'm still in, so.
Look, when you become a civilian and you're home and you're 100 to 1,000 miles away from all those people that you just,
your brothers,
you know what I mean? Like
your
when
brothers,
you're in the
honestly.
Army, what's that?
Your brothers, they're your brothers. You know, because I've got family too.
Yeah, like you have something in common with them. You know what I mean?
Like you almost died.
It's a lot easier.
A bunch of times.
And then when you come home, it's like you start going through this stuff, and no one else understands what you're going through.
That is so fucking boring, man.
Yeah, when you're in the Army, you're surrounded by people who did similar things, you know, and that's when it starts really setting in, where they can't relate to you.
So when you're in, like, you can keep talking about like different AOs you were in, and you run into somebody that was in the same AO at the same time, you know, and knows this fob and knows that other fob and knows this division commander or whatever. But I can only imagine when you get out, like all that's gone.
Yeah, especially when you get a job after you get out, you're just like, they talk to you like you're an idiot, and you're like, I understand my job, and they don't understand that you understand it. like the work ethic just changed. Everything changes, man. It goes through like a hard left turn. Everything, your whole life does. When you actually when you first get out, 6 to 12 months is like a party. You're like, I'm happy to be alive. I'm happy to be here. And then once you get into real life, it's like, shit. Fucking, I don't know, your mind starts playing tricks on you, you know?
Yeah. So
I can't really say anything because I stopped working and I moved into the woods.
Why?
Because I don't like people, man. I don't trust them. So I like animals a lot more. So I bought a farm and I just hang out with animals all day.
Well, I mean, are you happy?
Yeah, I am the happiest I've been since I've been out of the Army. I can tell you that. I enjoy my life. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, yeah.
Hey, can I ask you something for real though?
Yeah.
You ever had any suicidal thoughts from some of the stuff you saw or been through?
No, I've always had a real negative attachment to suicide. I've never been real religious. It's not that. I think that you hurt, like, it's the easy way out. You hurt the people that you actually
that
love
are still around.
when you do that. What?
You hurt the people that are still left to hold the bag, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're just like giving the other people your problems,
right?
You know?
Yeah.
And you're giving them a lot of unanswered questions. You know, like I actually had a friend in high school who killed himself, and that was like my first experience with death, and it just didn't sit right with me. So
it's hard to swallow, man. It's bad, man. The problem is people get to such a downward spiral they think that's the only way out, and it sucks for those that are left here on this piece of dirt we're all standing on.
Well, man, it's fucking it's contagious too, though. Like
it is.
I've seen a lot of suicide. I think I've had like 4 or 5 friends from high school, and then like we were always on suicide watch when I was deployed. I mean, I put soldiers on suicide watch before.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's something else, man. Well, I'm glad you're doing good.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm the happiest I've ever been.
Are you really? So if you could do it all again, would you do it, or would you just skip the Army shit?
If I could do it all again, then I know I could have the same outcome. I would do it all again.
Really?
Yeah,
not trusting people, not being around people. You're like, that's cool.
Oh, like the reason I'm not around people is because I choose to.
No, I know. I know you didn't get. I know you didn't get banned from. I know you didn't get. What do they call that shit? Banished. I know you didn't get banished from society.
Yeah, no, I like animals more than I like people, so I like doing that. But yeah, I think everyone should do military service. I think it makes you an adult. And I'm not saying combat. I'm just saying it teaches you work ethic. It teaches you a lot of valuable skills that a lot of people miss if they don't, you know, that they could have easily. Like just to do your own laundry, to feed yourself. The
biggest thing that I learned, and I still do this with my boys every morning, is make your bed. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I know it sounds crazy, and I'm stealing from a speech from an admiral, but if you are able to make your bed in the morning tight, the rest of your day is going to be easy. You know? Because that structure is there. The rest of it's going to be easy because you already got that one simple task already accomplished.
Well, I'll tell you this. The number one thing that I took from military service was how to make a timeline.
Yeah.
And how to meet a timeline. Like,
Yeah.
plan your day. You know what I mean? Like, if you have to be there at this place at this time, what do you have to do before it?
Right.
And what time do you have to do on that?
A lot of people don't get that, man. Honestly.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, a lot of civilians don't get that either. Like, it's really frustrating for people like me who are like, I know I don't have an actual real job, but if I have to meet you somewhere and you're fucking late,
annoying,
fucking
right?
pissed.
Annoying.
Yeah, I'm like, dude,
you don't even piss. So I'm not trying to get on a
time.
tangent, Andrew Collis, but you know what pisses me off even more is when somebody tells me what time they want to meet me and then they show up late. Like, I get it if it's my timeline and you're late, I got a little bit of understanding. But if you tell me what time you want to meet me and I show up and you're not there,
Yeah, no, I get. Well, that's the other thing, man. Like, this. It's crazy, man. And like, I went through college too. College makes you go jump through a lot of hoops. It's just like,
I'm very proud of you too, by the way, for you getting your bachelor's degree. I really am.
Dude, it was harder than I thought it would be, actually.
But you did it.
I had to hold my tongue. I had to hold my tongue a lot.
I was liberal fucking. Just kidding.
And well, no, it's not even that. It's like all the group projects. Like, there were so many group projects. And my grade is represented by this group of people that I don't know.
Yeah, that are basically playing work chicken, because that's what I do. You know what work chicken is?
No.
So you know what chicken is, right? Where you have two cars that race at each other, and then the last one.
Yeah.
So work chicken is the same thing, although there's 4 people in a group, and I go out and say, hey, I'm not doing shit. The other 3 or 2 people are gonna do the rest of the work because they don't want to miss a deadline.
Well, yeah, that's what mostly happened.
Yeah.
And me being from my military background, I'm like, let's plan some shit.
Right.
You know, let's have a plan of action to do this. Doesn't have to be right away, but let's just write it down and then I'll go with it.
Yeah.
You know, so, but that's probably the hardest part about it all. So, I mean, everyone's different. Everyone deals with different things.
Hey, I really appreciate you doing the interview with me. It means a lot.
Yeah, I actually had fun reminiscing about some.
Yep. All right, Andrew, thank you for taking the time to tell me about your life.
Before I go, on behalf of Andrew and I, we would like to thank all the veterans we talked to for taking the time to share their stories with us. We created this podcast to show not just the military, but everyone, that you can make it through some of the toughest times in your life and come out on the other side on top. Here at Surviving as a Civilian, we cannot stress enough the importance of getting help if you need it, or giving help if you can. Sometimes it could be as simple as making a phone call or answering that phone in the middle of the night from someone you haven't heard from in a while. If you or someone you know is struggling, help is available at the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255 or text the word HOME to 741-741. If you think your story can help someone out and you want to share it with us, please email us at survivingasacivilian.casting@gmail.com. Subscribe and rate this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or anywhere else you get your podcast. Like and follow Surviving as a Civilian on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Until next time, get help if you need it, or give help if you can.